to do this on Skype. You didn't have to worry about
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I did this in 2008. There was no video. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We're getting ready to talk with Diana here in St. Louis on the other side of the river over in Illinois about her trip in March to Walt Disney World. So hang with us and just enjoy the show here for a few minutes. Get things set. We'll get going. It's my daughter's birthday, but she's up in Chicago.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. Well, she was here, but she's doing the basketball thing, and her team's got a game. So hopefully they win.
Yeah, that'd be a good birthday present.
We'll see. There's no way to watch them online either because it's a small school. That kind of stinks. She was with Mizzou the last 3 years, and you could watch all the
Oh,
games.
yeah.
University of Illinois, Chicago, and it's like a little Missouri Valley school, so you don't. Some of the games, right? This is an exhibition game, so some of the games will be on ESPN Plus, but this one isn't. All right. I'll close Twitter so I don't get distracted because that's the only way I can see if they're winning. Let's see. Get the level. So it's Diana, right? Make sure I got it right.
Yes.
Okay. Diana, okay. Let me get that. And we are get the right number. Come on, iPad 2185. Okay. Oh, we'll have the time change this weekend. Okay. So I always try to think of like what's
Oh,
happening
yeah.
because Monday. Okay, let's see. Mute my phone. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2185 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend and had a lot of fun with your friends and family. And this is that show every year that it may have come out an hour too soon. It may have come out an hour too late because when we go to publish these episodes, it always asks me UTC. And I always forget, okay, is our UTC now that we've changed the time? Is it -6 hours in St. Louis, -8 hours? I don't know. It always guess. And so some years I get it right and it stays consistently and comes out at 9 o'clock Eastern like it's supposed to. Some years I screw it up and it comes out at a weird time. So hopefully you got this show at least at some point by now and you're ready to have a great Monday. And yeah, by 3:30 this afternoon, welcome to dark. It's going to be crazy. But hey, more time to listen to podcasts and more time to get together and talk Disney. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a fun trip report. And we're headed to a destination very close to the Be Our Guest podcast studios, right across the river in Edwardsville, Illinois, another suburb here of St. Louis. We have Diana joining us today. Diana, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Glad to have you here. And like I mentioned, you're over in Edwardsville, which,
Mhm.
I always, big high school football fan. You guys over there have a high school powerhouse football team.
Right.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you're a big fan of that, but you do. You guys are good.
Yeah. Well, I really don't know much about the high school. My kids are little, but I moved here to go to SIUE. And I want to add this fun fact. I met Ricky at SIUE. We lived in the same dorm together freshman year.
That's what I was gonna say. Ricky Ricky's
Yeah.
probably the most famous SIUE graduate, at least in these circles. Yeah, she's from over there. What's Cougars? Is that the mascot?
Yeah, that's right.
Cougars? Yes, yes. So that's very cool. All right. So besides SIUE, Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, what might your kind of corner of the world be known for? Because I know there's a town near you called Collinsville. And if we
Right.
found somebody from Collinsville, they would have to talk about the big
The
ketchup
ketchup bottle. Yeah.
bottle, like, water tower thingamajig, so anything 'cause I used to play Legion ball in Edwardsville all the time, but is there anything like that
Um, I feel like Edwardsville has a great downtown. We're one of the oldest towns in Illinois.
a great
Other than that, I always think of SIUE. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. It's a great town there.
Mhm.
Edwardsville, Collinsville, it's a great little area there, Metro East. Okay, so let's talk about your history with Disney, and
Yeah.
you're friends with Ricky, so you're
Right.
already, friends with a celebrity there, so, and she's can't believe she's getting ready to be a mom.
Oh, I know, I'm so excited for them.
How's that? Do you just real quick while I have you on here, I know we're on the
Yeah.
show here, but I love that for because I have a 20 well, today's my oldest birthday, she's
Yeah.
26, My youngest is a freshman in high school, so all that baby stuff is way behind me. So I am loving the fact that now Ricky's gonna have to get up like at 4 o'clock in the morning and bottles and the diapers and all that stuff because she's always like, I get up like at
Oh, I
10.
know. Every time I hear her talk about going to the parks late, I'm like, "Enjoy sleeping in while you can."
Oh, she's in the chat, so there we go. We're talking
Yeah.
about
Hi,
her.
Ricky.
Is here, so we better stop talking about her.
I know, I'm
Okay.
excited for Ricky and Brian. You guys are gonna do awesome.
Oh, they're gonna be great parents.
Mhm.
Okay, so give us your history with, Disney other than knowing the famous Ricky Niblett.
Yeah, so I'm from one of those families that just grew up going to Disney almost every year. So my parents always took us on our vacations, and we always drove from Illinois all the way down to Florida. So I grew up with original Epcot. So I have all the nostalgia for the original Figment ride, Horizons, all the original Epcot attractions were our favorite. So yeah, I'm one of those lifelong Disney people.
So you and Ricky have that in common, obviously. I mean, the Figment thing, like,
Oh
she
yes, we
anything
love
Figment,
Figment.
she goes a little crazy
Mhm.
over. So you've made the because I used to drive down there. I was scared to fly
Yeah.
for years and years, so we drive down. Did you ever have, like, a famous I just since we had obviously drove the same
Mhm.
route, any famous stops along the way? Like, we always stopped at Paducah, Kentucky to fuel up.
Yes.
That was, like, our always first stop, and then,
Same here. Yeah.
Chattanooga was always a stop for us,
Yes.
Northern Georgia kinda thing.
Yeah. So we always did Paducah. We'd stop at a little rest stop called Whitehaven, which was like this little old mansion.
Yep,
And then
yep,
we
been there.
we always did Chattanooga as well. And we'd go to like Nickajack Lake. There's a little rest area
Mhm.
with a really
Yep,
pretty view.
yep.
Yeah.
I kind of miss I hate to say it because I haven't driven in probably the last 7 or 8 years because I finally got to the point where my back just couldn't take it anymore. And so I found like I'm just suck it up, buttercup, drink a couple margaritas and get on the plane, Mike. Everybody in the world flies but you. Everybody makes it. My dad works for the Rams. He flies all over the country all the time.
Mhm.
Everybody flies. Like I got to get over this. So I finally did. And now I love flying. But I do miss, like you mentioned, the Nickajack Lake,
Yeah.
and, like, driving through the mountains there
Mhm.
between, like, Nashville and Chattanooga right at sunrise because 'cause we'd leave it, kind of in the evenings and then, get there in the morning, and it's such a beautiful part of the country, but then again, Georgia lasts
Oh
forever if you're
yes.
driving.
Yeah.
I like getting there in 2.5 hours.
Yes, I totally agree, and I will say, growing up, we always did the drive, so it's something I was used to, I know the route really well. I've only flown a couple times, but this last trip in March, we were supposed to fly, that was our plan, and this was back over spring break when all the flights kept getting canceled, and our flight was canceled, and we did this very spontaneous road trip where we drove unexpectedly with 2 small children, and after that drive, I can say, "I'm done, I don't wanna do that drive anymore."
Right. Well, that's why when my youngest was really little,
Yeah.
that was kind of when we finished up, we would leave here like at 7 o'clock at night. Now it was
Mhm.
hard on me because I drove the whole way, but she would sleep for a majority of the trip
Yeah.
because like it would be dark, and
My
she'd
kids
sleep
did
most
not
of
sleep.
the
It was, like, midnight, and we were in the middle of Georgia, it's pitch black out, and they're still awake, and we're like, "Why won't you fall asleep?"
Oh my gosh.
So I think
Were they excited maybe to fly and they were
I think,
disappointed they didn't get
yes,
to
they
go to
were very excited to fly, I don't think they understood why we had to drive and why it took so long, and I could say I definitely appreciate my parents and their patience, growing up, they were the ones driving, I didn't have to worry about it,
Mhm.
and now it was my turn to be the parent with the 2 kids in the car, and it was a totally different experience, that's for sure.
That is true. You bond though. You make
Yeah.
there's nothing like those good memories because I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
we have our best Disney
Mhm.
trip memories. A lot of them revolve around the drive down
It's
and the drive
true,
back. I
yeah.
mean, one time we took the in-laws, Monte Carlo, and, like, somewhere we're in Tennessee. We stopped to get fuel, and the gas pedal, like, it wasn't the pedal itself, but the fuel like, the accelerator mechanism stuck, like, wide open. So, you had to like, to stop, you had to turn the key off, and so, as soon as you turn the key on, it would go, "Roar," and the engine would rev. So, we're trying to get home, and it was insane. So, like, OnStar was blowing up, but, I mean, we had the great and the Mallory Paige brought her best friend. She was getting sick in the back seat because I
Oh,
was acting
no.
crazy because 'cause we're going so fast. I mean, just stuff like that. We had so many great and Zaxby's. I miss going to
Mhm,
Zaxby's on the way down. Anyway, okay, so this trip we're gonna talk about was in March. So
mhm.
let's kind of set the background here. So how did you put this together? Was this like every trip for the last 2 years we've talked about a delayed COVID trip, or was this
Yes,
just oh my god, it is okay. The streak,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
streak continues because everybody's trip starts off with, well, this was going to be happening in 2020. So give us how this was all coming together.
Yeah, so our last trip was in 2018, and my girls were really little at the time, so they didn't really remember it. So we had this trip booked, just like so many people, we had to cancel it and rebook it, and we had to rebook it a couple times. We were supposed to go in December, and then we moved it to March. Um, and it's one of those things where we spent so long saving up for it, years, right? It took us almost 4 years. So we were able to do a lot more just because it took us longer to save up. So that was a really nice, bonus to the drawn out time between trips.
Yeah, it is. I mean, exactly right. I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, the pandemic was terrible, but a lot of folks, since you couldn't travel during the pandemic, a lot of
Mhm,
people kind of put it away. And I think that's
exactly.
why there's such a surge in travel right now. It's
Mhm.
the media calls it like revenge travel or what have you, but it's just people have not used that
Yeah,
budget in the past couple of years, past couple, 2 years or so. And now's the time to get out there and see the world because you got tired of
exactly.
seeing your own four walls. Let me ask you though, okay, but about this trip, because you mentioned how you couldn't fly because the flight was canceled.
Right.
You guys are flying out of Lambert, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, so what was that like though, real quick? I mean, did you get to Lambert? Did you
Yeah.
even I mean, like, at what point did you have to make the call? Because here's the thing, I'm not trying to scare our runners, but every year this happens
Oh,
for
yeah.
Marathon Weekend, if you're coming from a place like St. Louis or
Mhm.
Minnesota or anywhere in the Midwest where inevitably there's going to be a snowstorm that's like trucking through the United States first week of January. All the runners have to get there to run. You got to do the 5K if you're going to do Dopey. You can't miss it. And there's been times where I'm like, oh my god, like I think the flight's going to get out, but if I wait too long, and I think it's going to get out and then it doesn't, like it's
Mhm.
15 hours it takes to drive.
Right.
Like it's the point of no return. So how did you guys finally decide, like, okay, this isn't going to happen because you're at the airport? So what's up?
Right. So, it was an early morning flight. I think it was about 7:50 AM where we were supposed to take off. So, I had to wake my kids up early. We leave our house, I think, around 4:30 AM. So, it's pitch black out. My poor little kids are tired. We get to the airport and we get through the security line. And I kid you not, as soon as I get through the security line, I get the notification on my phone that our flight was delayed.
Yeah.
So first it was just delayed until I think around maybe 11:30 or noon. So I'm thinking,
Oh,
I
man, that's so long too.
yes, so I'm thinking I have 6 hours in the airport with a
Right.
5 and a 7-year-old. What am I gonna do? And
People
of
have to
course,
understand this is not Orlando
yes,
International Airport. Like, if you're flying Southwest, was it?
there's nothing there. Yeah, it was
Not
Southwest,
this
so
there is not much to
there's
do.
nothing
There's a
there.
Burger
Yeah,
King and a Dunkin' Donuts and a newsstand. I mean, that's
exactly. And then our gate was just the furthest away. So we did the longest walk ever to get to our gate. I set my kids up. Luckily, we had tablets, so they're both looking on their tablets. And then about 7:30, so we'd been there maybe like an hour and a half, we get the notification that our flight was canceled.
oh,
And there's just all these families around us. Everybody's panicking. There's little kids. We all get in a long, long line with Southwest to try to figure out what to do. So my husband's in one line, I'm in a different line, and then my dad was with us. So my dad was with the kids. Luckily, the kids were fine. They were watching their shows. And I had my sister on the phone, and she's flying out the next day, actually, or on Monday. So they were going to join us a couple days later. She is looking online for flights for us. So there's three of us all looking for flights. We can't find anything on that Saturday. I don't think there's anything on that Sunday either. Everything's just booked up. So it's gonna take us till Monday,
God.
and we're thinking there's no way we can just sit around and go home and wait until Monday. At that point, we should just drive. And so at this point, it's maybe like 8:30 in the morning. We decide just to go get our luggage. We're gonna drive. And that took a while. So it took a while to get our luggage back. And
Yeah.
then we had to go get our car that was already parked. So we left St. Louis maybe around 9 AM. Um, and my poor kids were just so confused. They were like, "Where's
I
the
bet.
plane?" Yeah,
Yeah, like, okay, wait, yeah, when do we get to get on the big bird?
exactly.
Yeah.
And the sad thing was our flight was supposed to land in Orlando around, like, 10 or 11, and so we were supposed to be there by that time. So it was so frustrating that here we are still in St. Louis at the time we were supposed to be in Orlando. Yeah,
So you left straight from the airport though to
we
drive
did.
home. You
Yep.
didn't even swing by the house or anything?
Nope.
Okay. That's crazy.
We
Okay,
felt very spontaneous, yeah.
I mean, that you'll always remember the trip for that,
Yes,
you know, not
definitely.
it's a negative thing, but as time passes, it'll be like, "Ha you know, but
Yeah,
I mean, at the time, you're right, you're probably
yeah,
not even, like, across the Mississippi, you're like, "Dude, we could be on the
exactly.
monorail at MCO right now getting ready to get our luggage." That's exactly how I'd feel. Okay,
Right.
so that's, glad we're getting past that. It's not
Yes.
perfect with flights yet, but we're
It's
giving
better than
people
it was.
we're
Yeah.
giving people nightmares right now either way. You guys got a flight coming up. Okay, so you guys were down for quite a while. It looks like about a week or a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Stayed at the Polynesian, DVC. So
Mhm.
give us a review of what you thought of this for your party that you traveled with,
Yeah.
dining, rooms, all that stuff.
So the Polynesian is my favorite resort. I absolutely love it. We stayed there once when I was in high school, and we always visit there. Every trip, we always make a stop at Poly. We just love the atmosphere. We love the music. We love just sitting outside, getting our pineapple Dole Whip at the Lanai.
Sounds
So
so good
everything
right
about
now.
it, yeah.
Oh, good.
And the rooms were fantastic. We stayed at the DVC Studios, so we loved that it had a split bathroom. And then my kids loved they both had the pull down beds, so they just thought those were the coolest things ever. They loved the pool. I wish we would have had more time to swim in the pool because they both thought the poly pool is just amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
The kids pool, then you could be at Pop Century, you could be at All Star Sports. Kids
Yes.
pool's best
All
thing.
pools are cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like Magic Kingdom, nah. How's rectangle pool? Sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
That is
Just saw
true.
kids so now are the rooms at the villas over there
Mhm.
also Moana themed at this point or no?
They were
Maybe
not, no. So they
they
still
weren't,
had Lilo and Stitch, but they were cute. They were really nice.
but they had the
Yeah.
pull down beds. Those are super
Yes.
guests
Yeah.
love those things. Cool. And, so you were how many I didn't get your travel party. So it was
Yes.
your family's your
Yeah.
husband and 2 kids, 2
Yes.
daughters?
So I have 2 daughters, they were 5 and 7 at the time, my husband, and then my dad came with us, so he drove down with us, which was nice because we had an extra driver to
There
help
you
us
go.
drive,
Good
and
bonus.
my dad had done that drive ever since we were babies, so my dad's like, "I know exactly how to get there."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'll point out all the pla we
Exactly.
can make it to Nickajack Lake,
Yes.
we're good, we got a quarter tank of gas."
Exactly. So it was nice having my dad with us. And then, so my sister, her husband, and my nephew came and they joined us on Monday. And then my brother also flew down. So we had the whole family there. It was really fun.
So, we'll get into all the stuff from the trip. Let me ask why while I was thinking about this is when you have the extended family there,
Yeah.
what did you learn about making that work? Because, you do have a lot of folks that have a lot of
Mhm.
different ideas, as to what they wanna get done. What worked for you having extended family there all at Walt Disney World so that everybody stayed happy and everybody got what they
Yeah.
wanted out of their vacation?
So I think what worked for us was the fact that we'd all gone so many times. So, my sister and I, my brother and my dad, we all grew up going. So we were all very familiar. We know how to get around. We know what rides we want to do. So that really helped us out a lot. We know what our priorities are. And then having the little kids with us, that's really what was different. So having my kids and then my nephew. So we just tried to make the focus like more on what the kids wanted to do, what their priorities were. But luckily, I feel like everything went pretty well planning wise. And my dad's very laid back, go with the flow. So he just kind of did whatever we wanted to do. So yeah, it worked out pretty well for us.
Smart dad. That's how I am. I'm just like I even tell that to Scott, like, when we go down for race weekends because he goes with his whole family. I just go by myself, and he's always like, "Oh, it's almost time to make ADRs." I'm like, "Dude, just tag me on to whatever."
Exactly.
Unless it's like a super fancy restaurant, I'm like, "I'll just meet you afterwards. I'll go get Casey's, corn dog nuggets, and I'll just" if you're gonna be over at California Grill, I'll eat I'll eat at Casey's, I'll meet you on the monorail, or something, but, yeah, it's one of those things I'm just, as long as I'm there, I'm
Mhm.
happy, and you mentioned, since you have been there so many times, everybody kinda knew the lay of the land,
Right.
everybody's experienced a lot of the stuff. Did you kinda take control of, like, putting all the plans together since obviously you're the one here?
Yeah.
How that worked?
So I really, probably organized most of it, and then when my sister joined us, she probably, like, co-planned everything that we did together with me. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a unofficial Disney planner because every trip we go on, I kinda do take the lead. Um, and especially if I travel with my family, my sister and I usually tag team it.
It's good to have like a co-conspirator
Yes.
with
Yeah.
Disney plans because, to bounce ideas off, like, is this a good idea? But,
Mhm.
you know, to be honest, more importantly, when you get frustrated with plans, you gotta have somebody to complain with.
Yes.
Like,
That's
"Can
true.
you believe that I couldn't get this?" I mean, somebody that gets it, it's just, that's what we do at the Magic for Less,
Mhm.
like, when something isn't working out, like, we have a whole group that we do that with daily. Okay, but I probably shouldn't say that, but, that's what we do. I mean, that's what we do as Disney fans, right? We try and, like, "Oh, the system's not working today, it's killing us." So you guys had 5 days in the theme parks.
Mhm.
So you took some days away from the theme parks, which I love. I mean, especially if you're staying
Yeah.
in Bali. So how did that work out? Do you wish you kinda said earlier, I think you wish you would have had more time at the pool. Was 5
Yeah.
days too many in the theme parks? Was it just about right? What do you think?
So I think 5 days for the theme parks worked out pretty well, and what helped us out was we had a day off in between, so, like, right in the middle, but I wish we would have had more time at the beginning, so that's what we missed out on since we had to drive. We were
Mhm.
supposed to come in on Saturday, we didn't get in till Sunday, so we kinda missed that day, and I've been talking ever since then, I'm like, "I need a redo. I need a day just at Poly just to relax and, like, use all the amenities," um, but definitely having a day off in the middle of your trip, I think, is super helpful.
So with those 5 days, did you go to all 4 parks? Ma or
So, we did not go to Animal Kingdom, and I am kind of, biased. I mean, there's just not much there I enjoy, and I know everybody loves Flight of Passage, but I get motion sickness very
I'm sorry.
easily, and so I
Yeah,
I feel like I
same.
can't ride it, and then, since we had little kids in our group, we were thinking Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot are just more little kid friendly.
No, I
Yeah.
totally get it. I'm the same way, like, if I go down for a weekend, I never go to Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Now, it's weird because my buddy Scott, favorite park. He
Oh,
loves Animal
yeah.
Kingdom, and the thing is when I go to Animal Kingdom, I do have a good time. I actually find plenty to do, there's lots of good
Mhm.
food to eat, but I don't do Flight of Passage like you. I like,
Yeah.
Navi River Journey. It's like, it's a small world, but it's in
Right.
Avatar or whatever. Because 'cause I've never seen the movie, but, yeah, it's fun, it's beautiful to look at. Let me ask you another thing that you guys did, you put in your notes here, which I really
Mhm.
appreciate you provided, was that you guys did a VIP tour. We get a lot
Yeah.
of questions about this, as far as the podcast, the travel agency, and just folks that I talk to in general, football games, they know I'm the Disney guy, whatever. They're always like, "Well, if I go down there, can I get a guide to take me around?" And I kinda tell them, "Yeah, that is possible." So you did it. So what would you say to folks about that experience?
Oh, we thought it was amazing, and so, since we did get in late, we were supposed to have a full park day on that Sunday, but we didn't get to the parks till afternoon just because we had to drive, and so, what helped us stay calm and, like, not stress out was knowing that we had booked that VIP tour because we kept thinking, "We can do all our must-dos on that day, we can make sure we fit everything in then," and that really helped us not stress out on our other days, so all the days that we didn't have, um, the VIP tour. We did do Genie Plus on a few days, but other than that, we just didn't stress about it because we knew we could get done our priorities on our VIP tour. And the thing we loved the most was the transportation. So they picked us up from Poly.
In that van?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
was
van is
so
great.
nice. Yeah, and they took us straight to Magic Kingdom and they drive in backstage. So you didn't
Mhm.
have to wait in security. You didn't have to scan your bands. You didn't have to wait in lines. And they just take you right into the park. And that was just the best thing, especially with little kids. We didn't have to wait in line. We didn't have to go through all the security. They also give you strollers. So that was helpful if you have little kids with you, right? And then just park hopping. That was the best way to do park hopping.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And we didn't have a park hopper besides that, so every other day we just did Magic Kingdom or we just did Epcot, but this was the day we got to go everywhere, and so that made it so much easier, and it really to me, that was, like, the biggest selling point, just made getting from park to park so easy.
That's what I hear. I hear a
Mhm,
few things about the VIP tours. One is that just the efficiency of the whole thing,
mhm,
right? It's not just that day that you have the VIP guide. What it does, it takes the stress off the rest of
mhm,
the entire vacation because I'm gonna get done a lot of the stuff that I wanna get done with the VIP guide in a very efficient fashion
mhm,
where I don't have to stress about trying to get this or that done on, day 5, 6, 7. We'll
exactly.
probably knock that out with the guide. Also, a lot of people, and this is true for me with Disney cruises. Like, I just love my wait staff, like, because you
Mhm,
get to kinda know them through the dinners, and when you get that kind of
yeah.
intimate relationship. Did you guys feel that your,
Oh,
your
yeah.
VIP tour guide was somebody that really, impressed you?
We did, so her name was Annie, and my kids just absolutely fell in love with her. She was, like, their best friend that whole day, and we really did, like, we got to know her, we chatted a bunch, she gave I told her I'm such a huge Disney nerd, so she gave us all the behind the scenes tips and history and little, behind the scenes stories about the parks. And it was also fun going with her because I am the planner of our group. I usually plan out which lightning lanes and Genie Plus we should do and when. It was so nice just to have her do that for me. And
Mhm.
so I didn't have to plan anything. And the other fun thing was she planned it totally differently than I would have. I usually go one direction in Magic Kingdom, she went the other way. And the way she planned it just worked out so well. And I never would have thought of that on my own because I'm so used to doing it a different way. So it was really nice having that different perspective.
That's cool. That's super cool because I've
Yeah.
never done it, but we've always toyed with it, right? Because you can
Mhm.
have, like, X amount of people, and so we've said, like, the Foresters, the Gardeners, and the Rawlmans
Yeah.
all need to get together and, like, for one day, get a VIP tour guide, just split the
Yeah.
cost between all of us. We haven't done it yet, but we're considering it. So, yeah,
It was
you're
pretty awesome.
so what's the like, okay, they pick you up obviously that
Mhm.
morning when it's time to go, but, like, what kinda contact do you have to kinda set this up? Did they reach out to you? What was that like?
Yeah, so, we had talked on the phone with them, and so we give them kind of our game plan, which parks we wanna go to, and then also what rides our priorities are, and then we also could email back and forth, and so there were times where we would email and just ask, like, "Oh, do you think we could fit this in too?" Or, "What park order do you think we should go in?" So it was nice that we could email back and forth and, throw some ideas out there leading up to our trip.
Did you get everything in though, that you were hoping to for that day, or
We
did
came
it
pretty
fall short?
close. Yeah, the only thing we couldn't get into was Ratatouille, and that's because the ride was down as soon as we got there. But the nice thing was they gave us a lightning lane to use at any time during our whole trip. So it was like this freebie that we could use all week. So the next time we went to Epcot, we could use it. So that was nice.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk about times in the theme parks, outside of the time of the
Mhm.
VIP tour guide, which is I mean, that's awesome. But, for the kids, what were
Yeah.
maybe favorite theme park besides the pool, and maybe favorite experiences on attractions? Because you said they're 5 and 7, that's like
Mhm.
prime age.
Oh,
What
yeah.
do you think?
It was so fun. So I think um, at the time we went, the character meet and greets were still distanced. Which I was disappointed about because I know what it's like to hug the characters. They're
Mhm.
too young to remember that. But the thing that was nice was all the talking characters, like all the princesses, and then all the, like we met the stepsisters from Cinderella. They had the sweetest conversations with my daughters, and the memory that stands out to me the most was when we met Cinderella's stepsisters outside the castle, and they were just joking with my daughters and going back and forth with this really funny banter, and it was just my daughters and them talking for the longest time, and it was the sweetest moment, and my daughters left thinking like, "They're not evil stepsisters, they're so funny." Like, they thought they were just hilarious. So just, like, the character interactions were just so sweet even though we couldn't hug. They were still super sweet. And then as far as their favorite rides, they loved Rise of the Resistance, right? They got
Really? 'Cause I
super
mean,
into it.
they kinda seem young to
They
really
do, yeah, and
enjoy, like,
we
I think
haven't
they'd be a little frightened.
we haven't watched Star Wars either, which is the funny thing. And so I read them some, like, little kid Star Wars books. They know BB-8, they love BB-8, but they've never seen the movies. And so I just kind of explained to them the backstory. But they got so into it, like, when we got into the room with the stormtroopers, my daughter covered her mouth and she's like, "I'm not gonna tell them where the rebel base is," and she just got so into the story, and
She's in it, yeah, she's totally in.
I loved it, and she really believed it was all real. She thought they were real stormtroopers, I mean, she just got totally into the story. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh, when you see your kids do it,
Yeah.
that I mean, honestly, that's what I tell people, right? That's why you go as a parent,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I mean, Ricky's getting ready to find this out, like, she's
Yes.
gone a million times and,
It'll be awesome.
bought every purple thing at Epcot and, the Imagination Pavilion, but now, now over the next decade, you're gonna see why
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so addictive because when you get that moment with your kid, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not telling them. They are gonna put me
Oh,
in a cell, and they're
yeah.
gonna try to interrogate me, and I don't care if Kylo Ren cuts a hole in the
Yep.
wall, I am not giving it up, and he's like,
Exactly.
"That's why we come here," and that as a parent, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pure
So
magic.
yeah, I love that. It shocks me though that they liked it because that young, I thought they'd be kind of
I thought so
especially
too.
especially if you don't even know the Star Wars story, because
Yeah.
if you just see stormtroopers, like, with no context, like, as
Right.
many as there are in that room, I'd be like, "Get me out of here. What's going on? Are these ghosts or what?" Okay, so you said Ratatouille was down during the VIP
Mhm.
tour, but you got to do it later.
Right.
Was it worth the wait? Did everybody enjoy that?
So that was one where I actually got motion sick on, so I could not look. I had to take off my 3D glasses, I couldn't handle it, but my kids loved it. They thought it was so fun, they were laughing the whole time, they wanted to do it again, and I was thinking, "I'm not doing that again. You have to go without me next time." But they thought it was so fun, they loved the story behind it and how you they felt little, and everything
Yep.
was so big. Yeah.
And I love it says your oldest daughter, one of her favorite attractions, just classic attraction,
Yes.
good kid Tiki Room. I
She
mean, come on, I
loved the
love
tiki
that.
room, and
Oh,
it's funny because I remember from when I was a kid, 'cause that's been there I don't know if it's been there since the park opened, it's one of the original attractions, I think, but my daughter loved it, so every time we were at Magic Kingdom, we had to do the tiki room, and she would get up and she'd start singing and dancing the song, that was something and she still remembers the song today, like, she'll still sing it.
so did you guys do Carousel of Progress as well?
We did, and my kids like that one too.
It's like my daughters both, like, loved Carousel of Progress at that
Yes,
age and still do, like, they still sing the song because
I
it's
love
when
it.
when I saw a Tiki Room here, I'm like, "That's my daughter's, except
Yes.
it's Carousel of Progress," right? It's a
Yeah,
classic attraction, it's, like, not exciting, but it's awesome, but, you wouldn't think a kid would say that's their favorite, but yeah,
exactly.
so I was wondering, I'm like, "I wonder if they like Carousel of
They
Progress too."
did, and
Similar,
they liked the songs from it too, and I
same
think
the
they're
song.
still young enough they thought they were, like, real characters, instead of animatronics. So, yeah, they totally loved Carousel of Progress too.
Yeah, your kids are awesome. I love it. You gotta tell them that. That's very cool. Okay, so let's talk dining. Let's shift gears here for a little bit 'cause
Yeah.
you had some pretty cool meals. So out of you gave me a list of oh my gosh, I
Oh, I
can't even
know.
look at these. They're so good. But yeah, point out a couple of the highlights of these awesome meals that you had while you're down there.
Yeah, so this was that trip that we'd been saving up for so long, and my must-do list just, like, kept growing. I'm like, "This is gonna be the trip where we do everything."
Everybody gets it. That's
Yes.
every Disney fan. It's
Oh,
like
yes.
we come here so we can just empower each other. Yeah, one more ADR isn't gonna hurt
Mhm.
anybody. Go for it.
And
Yeah.
I was one of those people, I had all the different apps that give you the dining alerts,
Yeah.
I was on there checking, trying to schedule all my reservations.
It's meant to be if I get an alert and it's available, that means
Yes.
God's telling me I gotta go to Ohana.
And so, one of my favorites was Cinderella's Castle, and I'd never eaten there before, so that was my first time, and we loved it, we thought it was great, and I think right when we went is when Cinderella came back, so we were able to meet Cinderella at the castle. And I just thought the food was really good, and the kids' meal was cute. They had I think it was, like, decorate your own cupcakes, so it came with this whole little tray for the kids to play with, so it was really nice, and then my kids loved Topolino's and, Chef Mickey's, right? And again, it was one of those things where I was sad they couldn't hug the characters,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't know. I mean, they had no idea, and so they were just talking to Mickey and waving and jumping up and down. They were just so excited. So those were really cute. We did the sci-fi dine-in at
Every
Hollywood Studios.
Okay, this is a running joke now at this point on the show. Every person comes on Monday, eats at Sci-Fi. I have
Yeah.
not been able to get an ADR there for, like, 3 years. I'm dying to eat at
It
this
is
place.
hard
I
to
love
get.
it. I cannot get in there. Every person comes on like, "Yeah, I ate at Sci-Fi." I'm like, "This is why I can't get in. Every listener gets in but me." So, what was it? Was it what you hoped? I mean, it's not great food.
Yeah.
It's good
So,
food. It's just comfort food kinda thing, burger,
for
fries.
us, my husband and I, we ate there on our honeymoon,
Ah,
and
nice.
so I had gone there before. For the kids, though, funny enough, they were actually scared of the sci-fi movies. So they just show, like, little previews of these films, and they're all black and white from,
Yeah.
like, the '50s. I find them funny, but they were scared, and I felt
Hey,
bad.
not scared of Rise of Resistance, scared of Sci-Fi.
Yes, exactly. And it was really dark in there, and so I think, I don't know if just sitting in the dark kind of freaked them out, I don't know, but they didn't love it. I
Oh,
liked it,
man.
but my it was not my kid's favorite.
I mean, think about how foreign a drive-in theater is for
Yeah,
a 5 and a 7-year-old, like, "Wait, what? Why are we, like, in a car and
right.
sitting outside watching there's no color in those movies?
Yeah,
What
they did
what's
not
going
get
on?"
it.
Oh, oh, man, what a bummer. Also, you guys had Ohana. Did you have dinner,
Yes.
breakfast? What you have over there?
So we did breakfast, and that was also my first time eating at Ohana, and I loved it. We had one of the best seats, it was right by the window overlooking the pool and the Seven Seas Lagoon. And the food was amazing. My kids ordered these drinks that came with flowers, and the server was like, "Oh yeah, they're edible flowers. You can eat them." And my kids were like, "What? That's amazing!"
Okay, You say that, that is triggered a memory. I think when we went there a long, long time ago, the same thing, like, one of my kids had a f and I
Yeah.
swore that thing was not edible, but
That's what we were questioning. We're like, "Really?
it
You
didn't
can
look
eat
like
that?"
it was, but I know, and she took a big bite out of it. I'm like, "I
Yeah.
think he was playing." Like, I was like, I don't think you're," 'cause, you know, like, it was one of those waiters, he was kinda had, like, a dry sense
Yeah.
of humor. I'm like, I mean, like, she took a bite out of it. I'm like, I don't know if you should swallow that." Like, I think he's joking, but,
We
like,
were
it was, like, gone. I'm like, "Well, we're
we
gonna
were
find
thinking the
out."
same thing. And my husband's like, "That's not a real flower, is it?" I'm like, "I think so."
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, okay." I mean, that's a liability if you're telling everybody in this
Right.
restaurant you can eat the plastic, but whatever. Yeah, so, I do like breakfast over there. To me, that's a great meal. That's one of
Mhm.
my favorite breakfasts anywhere on property is, Ohana breakfast. Cool. Y'all guys also did, Crystal Palace, which was pre,
Yeah.
obviously, the characters coming back and
Mhm.
all that stuff, but I've eaten there, post-COVID before all the characters came back, and I really enjoyed that meal when we were over there.
Yeah, we enjoyed that one. Um, and my daughter's favorite character is Piglet, and so we were a little sad we couldn't give Piglet a hug. But yeah, my kids love buffets are great. I mean, there's always something there my kids will eat. So I always think those are a winner for sure.
Oh, you guys also did Beaches and Cream.
Mhm.
Oh, rest my soul. I wish I could have that tonight.
Yes. That was so fun. And I think our day there was their first day where they brought like, when you do the kitchen sink and somebody orders it and they have this red flashing light and everybody
Mhm.
cheers. I think that was the first day they brought it back since COVID, and
Ah,
so we saw that happen and we were like, "Oh my gosh, look at that."
it's so fun. It
It
is
was
so
really
I
cool.
love when people 'cause, I've
Mhm.
been solo my last couple of trips, but I always go there 'cause it's a good place to sit at the counter.
Yeah.
It's a good place to eat it's a good place to eat anytime. But if you're solo, really good 'cause you can get a walk up if you don't have an ADR,
Yeah.
a lot of times is a 1. And, yeah, I love when people get them because 'cause you're right, they bring it
It was
out,
fun.
somebody starts yelling about everything that's in it,
Yeah.
go on down and the siren light goes on, yeah. And then, I was sitting next to a family that got one because I had a regular table the last time I was there, and I told them, I'm like, "I did this years ago with my family." We was 2 families, we did this. And I said, "Let me just tell you, when that thing comes out," because I heard them order it, I'm like, "You gotta get at it quick." I was like, "'Cause that thing melts so fast and it just becomes a gooey mess." So I'm like, "Get your picture and then just tear it up." 'Cause
That's
it
awesome.
just gets to be a mess, but yeah, those are always fun. Um, yeah, man, good dining, boy. This is
Yeah.
that was really good. So, you also, it looks like, got to go over to the spa at the Grand Floridian.
Yes. Yeah,
I've
that
been there once too, and it is to me, it was super fancy.
it was so
I don't
nice. And so that was on our off day, and it was something where my sister and I had planned. So for us, it was like our little mom's getaway. So she and I left the kids with the dads, and then we went over and got pedicures, and it was just so relaxing. And it was really perfect. It was halfway through our trip. So at that point, my feet were hurting, you know?
good
And
call.
so, yeah, and so doing a pedicure and just sitting and relaxing. And that was also just great because, again, we left the kids with the dads, and then we got like this little mom getaway for a couple hours. So it was really nice.
And then you were gone the rest of the day. Didn't come back till midnight.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Doesn't work anymore with Find My Friends on your iPhone. They're like, "I know where you are. I'm gonna find you." I know, yeah, I did I was given that gift, for my birthday from my wife, after my very first full marathon in 2015. She got me a massage over at the Grand Floridian Cafe the next day on that Monday, and it was super fancy. I was like a fish out of water because I am not a fancy person. I went in there and they're like, "Oh, sir, here's all this 7 kinds of fancy
Mhm.
water, and here's your robe and your slip." I'm like, "I thought I was getting a massage," but then when they started doing the massage, I was so sore because, like, I didn't think I thought a massage would feel great after running 26 miles, but my muscles were so sore.
Oh, no.
It's like, "Ah!" So, yeah, they're probably like, "This cat can't come back here, like, he's not meant for the Grand Flow, spa." Now, you were also there on St. Patrick's Day, so this is,
Mhm.
mid-March. So did you see a lot of people celebrating? Because I always wonder what it's like. I've been there on Cinco de Mayo, like, these minor type holidays. What was that?
Yeah. So that day was fun. We went to Epcot on that day, and I had bought my shirt, like my kids' little green Minnie Mouse shirts, because I thought, okay, let's make sure we dress, festive. But we get to Epcot, and there were just people in full on costumes, like head to toe green with the
What the
hats and the
kinds that are
jewelry.
there?
Yeah, and so we were really surprised, but it was just so fun, and it really was so many people. I was surprised by it, but it really was a fun day to be there.
That's cool. What
Yeah.
did they serve green beer that day? I'm sure they did somewhere,
I'm
probably.
sure they did, I don't remember.
I
But
don't
yeah, they
drink
just
beer.
a lot of people dressed up. Yeah, it was really fun.
That's cool. Well, man, this sounds like it was a really fun trip, even though it was delayed. And then, of
Yeah.
course, it was delayed again at the beginning because you couldn't get on the
Yeah.
plane. You had to drive, so it was delayed another 24 hours to get started. But it sounds like once you got there and kinda got settled,
Mhm.
because I'm sure it was just kinda stressful for the first 12 hours being even
Right.
on property, kinda trying to play catch up.
Mhm.
As we wrap the show, what would you say is, like, your memory now looking back on the trip 4 or 5 months later? Any final stories from the trip or any advice you would give our
Mhm.
listeners as far as planning a big trip like this? Because you guys waited a long time and you wanted to make
Yeah.
it worth your while.
I think for this trip, it was something we had waited years for, and I had planned out and I'm such a planner, and I had planned out everything, and then to have our flight canceled, it just really changed everything. So my biggest takeaway was try to go with the flow. Plans are gonna change, things are gonna get canceled. I really had to learn to adapt, and it helped because I was with my dad and my husband, and they're both very laid back, go with the flow, so it helped me stay calm. So that's my biggest advice, just be prepared for things to change. Be prepared for, maybe your dining reservations get changed, you don't get the lightning lane you want, Genie Plus is not working because sometimes Genie Plus gives you trouble. So just be flexible, try to go with the flow, try not to plan too much. It is nice having a little time off.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think that's important that we have this show out there at this point
Mm,
that people are hearing this because, inevitably something is going to come up. And, especially moving into, I can't believe it's already November.
mm,
It's the winter season. A lot of us will be traveling, like I said, from the Midwest, from the North, going down to Florida. And, people are going to hit the same circumstance that you had. And when you're sitting in the airport, you're probably thinking everything's lost, like, right?
yeah.
Everything's ruined. I mean, that's exactly ask my wife. Like, I go to the extreme when stuff like this
Yes.
happens, right? Like, she's like, you just go off the deep end. Like you lose it when stuff like this happens. It's like it always works out in the end. And this trip report is proof positive that even though there's like a obstacle to overcome early, the trip can still be saved. I mean, you still got to have that moment with your kid and Rise of Resistance, and
Right.
you got to be in the tiki room. You got to have all those good meals and swim at the pool with the Pollock. I mean, it all worked out in the end, not perfectly, but I mean, it sounds like you had a really wonderful trip anyhow.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So hey, I appreciate you taking the time to kick off another week with us here on the show. It's a great way to start a Monday. And boy, I was picturing all the meals. I was picturing going
Yeah.
around the parks with you guys. And I sure appreciate your time. And good luck with helping Ricky with the little girl.
Yeah.
She's gonna need it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad I could come on.
Anytime. All right. Don't forget
Yeah.
today's show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out for all your Disney trip planning needs. They're over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click really does help us out. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. You make all these shows possible. And our patrons get that bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to join us, come on over, patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Join me on the social media. I'd love to talk to you this week. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget, this Sunday night, Scott's going to join me. We're going to take your calls, open up the phone lines, and talk Disney with you at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on YouTube and Facebook. So again, join us this Sunday night for another BOGP open line. All right, we're going to get out of here and we'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. But until then, for Diana out in Edwardsville, I'm Mike here in St. Louis. You guys have a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Awesome. Thanks. That was a great show.
Yeah.
We got resorts, we got theme parks, we got
Yeah.
planning. Perfect. Well,
Well, thank you so much.
hey, thank you, and tell the
Yeah.
girls they're brave to, rise. I like that. Most people be
Yeah.
scared at that age, so, more power to them.
All right. Well, thanks again. I love your
Alright,
podcast. I listen to
thank
it all
you.
the time.
Even the shows without Ricky?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Alright, I appreciate that. You
All right.
take care. Maybe we'll cross paths someday.
All right. Thank you. Bye.